Michael McWhorter, are you ready to become a console cowboy on the super information highway?
Yeah, giddy up is, what I would say.
Are you down? Do you even know SkypeNet? Do you even know
Is,
down
I,
uploads? I forget how that part in that Ghost Rider episode goes.
is this game self-aware? Is that
It is actually not in the way that you meant the word, but yes, it is a very self-aware game. It's called Hack and Slash. It's by Double Fine, and it is a hacking puzzle adventure game. It's really weird. You have a USB sword that I assume is imbued with technomancer properties, and you can change the properties of objects in the environment and talk to cute little sprites with USB mouths. And yeah, you have to solve puzzles using console input things. I am not especially great at hacking, so as you can probably
you're
tell.
hacking the planet?
You hack the planet from the ground up, grassroots, Kickstarter, crowdfunded changing of the world around you. It is a completely bizarre game, and you're really not given a lot of text-based tutorials. It's mostly just you have this USB stick that is apparently imbued with technomancer properties. Go and start hitting things with it and see what you can do.
Well, that's pretty much that's the hack right there, because it's you're just hacking away at some code, right? And that's
right. And I mean, it's not like Code Hero or any of those games like that actually require you to input the actual commands. You can see I'm about to push the shit out of this block. 952 tiles. Goodbye. It would have kept going. Here I'm hacking a bush. Gonna make it drop all of the hearts in the whole world, and then set it on fire. It kind of slows the game down a little bit. It's very easy to slow down or break the game entirely using these very simple things. But yeah, like I was saying, it's not like a hardcore one-to-one hacking simulation. You don't have to know JavaScript or anything like that. It's all basically hardwired into these different options that you're given whenever you interact with an object that you can interact with, and that's usually given away by the USB input thing it's on some of these bushes. Sometimes I try and attack that campfire, for instance, and nothing happens. And here I've fallen in the water. So, I mean, it has the trappings of a top-down action RPG. I think there's a lot of Zelda influence here.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there's none of that. It is 100% puzzle. Here, I'm being attacked by a raven, and the way that I fight it off is by reducing its damage to 0 and making it not aggressive. And it just leaves. It's just gone now. There's no, enemies with health bars that you have to attack and deplete their health bars. You just have to figure out how to hack them in the proper way.
So I see you're doing a lot of hacking, but I haven't seen much slashing. Is that...
You haven't been paying attention, then.
Okay. Well, I guess you did slash.
It is
slashed and hacked.
It is a slashing animation, but it's really the hacking that's the more interesting part.
What I can tell is that you really hate bushes and ravens, and you're...
I'm not a raven fan. It's the bushes. The bushes thing is just a, my biblical nature. I'm very into Moses, his whole story. I may be a little over your head, you heathen, but Moses was super into burning bushes. I think.
Oh, I've read the good book.
Been a while since I've watched The Prince of Egypt. That hit animated classic. I mean, this is all pretty rudimentary because this is the beginning of the game. You can see here's a new enemy, and he has a lot of options.
Whoa.
So you can see, whenever you get into this sort of state, the enemy that you are interacting with freezes, but nothing else does. So if there were other enemies around me right now, they would all be attacking me. So whenever you encounter something new, you kind of have to pretty quickly figure out what to do with it. Like right there, I tried to make it so that he would lay on his back for 250 seconds, but I apparently didn't do it right.
You need to hack his tummy.
You do hack it. Well, that's the thing. You can't hack that enemy unless he's on his back, and you can see his tummy because that's where his USB port is. So there's a little bit to it. It's not just walk up and touch the thing and then, make it a good guy or reduce its health to 0 or whatever. Like sometimes there's a little bit more to it than that. And in true, puzzle adventure game fashion, they keep layering more and more stuff on top of that basic formula. The next chapter, for instance, introduces a magic hat that you can put on that shows invisible sprites on the map. It also shows some of the logic of enemies on the map. So like if there's a stealth segment, you can see the programmed logic for enemies' awareness, and all you have to do is stay out of that. Here I've just received an item that lets me reverse time, which is not just like, it doesn't just take you back to the beginning of the area, it lets you literally reverse time. I could restart the game right now completely from scratch if I wanted to. So you have to be careful with that.
Sounds like you can get yourself into a little bit of a programming pickle here.
You can get yourself into a coding quandary. That is for certain. The turtle, gonna hack him.
Maybe you should change his perception distance to 0 and make him effectively blind.
Yeah, no, that's something you can do. Totally.
That's rough stuff. It seems a little bit cruel, actually.
Yeah, you can just you can completely hobble an enemy. You can turn their life into a waking nightmare, where they are creatures completely without sense. Here, I've changed it so those blocks move -5 tiles whenever you interact with them, meaning they move back towards you, which is the only way that you can get this chest. That took me, no kidding, maybe 45 minutes to figure out my first time through, because I'm a monster. A lot of the puzzles are super clever like that, and here I've just decided to do this area again. A lot of the puzzles are super clever because they, layer these building blocks on top of each other, and require you to think about the things that you've learned in a different way to solve the puzzle. So that being said, if you have any interest in this game at all at this point, maybe don't watch anymore, because like I said, some of the puzzles took me a while to figure out my first time through. Still nothing in that chest. I thought maybe this time around, but no.
Things would be different.
The things would be different, but they're not, because it's very Groundhog Days, and it is how it was last time.
So you've got from what I understand, you are this elf, and her name is Alice.
Alice, yeah.
Who's this little buddy you got hovering around you?
His name is Bob. It's just the basic name. Bob's usefulness has not been made explicit quite yet. In fact, in one area, he is actually harmful, not useless. He's the opposite of useful. He depletes use. Here I'm lost in an infinite maze, which takes me a little bit to figure out. And by figure out, I mean that I'm in an infinite maze and that I should quit, because I'm obviously not going to figure it out. Fortunately, you can do that pretty easily with the time returner. It's just a handy quit button for quitters like me.
Yeah, but you can't hack your way out of this one, bub.
There probably is a way to do it. I just... that was my first time encountering that area, and I didn't want to embarrass myself on this video any more than I already had. So here I go. Here I make them attack each other. It's pretty fun. Nice so I could turn, for instance, one of these guys into a good guy, and then turn his awareness distance way up, change his pathing patterns with that idle behavior input, and make it so that he, walks and then turns and then walks and turns in a certain way that makes him encounter maybe a tough enemy ahead. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with just this handful of options. And I'm in this video taking almost always the more straightforward approach, but I can't wait until videos of this game start popping up of people creating a turtle army and rampaging through the area. It's a good thing once you start getting hurt, all you have to do is change how many hearts a thing drops, and there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like the game has too much action or reflexes required.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I mean, there's not really a lot of penalty for taking damage because you can just hack a bush to give you 100 health. This sprite gives me 10 extra health just like off the bat. Like, thanks, man. So this is the area where the sprite that is with me, Bob, starts singing the dial-up modem. Oh, good platforming there. Starts singing the dial-up modem sound and scares away all the turtles. And that's all he does. He's like your companion, and he's actively working against you. And when you try to make progress,
they call that a handshake.
Is that what that's called?
That's what that's called. Yeah.
I feel like I should know that. I'm 12 years old, so I was born in the broadband age.
So there you go. You're muting Bob.
I'm muting Bob. So far I can blind a turtle. I can mute my best friend. It's basically just using hacking to ruin the life experiences of sentient creatures.
I got a question for you, and this is a pretty important question.
Yo.
How many laughs are you getting out of hack and slash? Are you getting giggles? Are you getting a joke a minute? What's going on?
I would say I'm getting titters.
Okay. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear if you're getting chuckles. I want to know if.
I haven't had any full-blown belly guffaws yet. But the writing is it's charming in a way that will elicit the occasional titter.
Okay. Okay. I can roll with the titter.
I actually sometimes I prefer a prolonged, sustained titter over a belly guffaw. And then Double Fine games, I mean, that's what they specialize in. They give you that constant titter, and then you get almost like a dubstep drop. You get that guffaw, and it just makes it. So here I'm hacking this gate with a password, and I know what like the first couple letters are. This one also took me about 45 minutes to figure out because I didn't realize. You change, the inputs, and the eyes of those guys in the background change when you get a letter right. So in terms of hacking, not the greatest security protocol, but
no.
So like this is a relatively small chunk of the early section of the game, but it really does keep adding more and more and more and more and more of this stuff to the mix, and you'll encounter these puzzles that aren't really like stuff that you've seen or done before, which I've only played about an hour or so, but it's kept it really fresh, which is good because I think at first blush, like I guess I hadn't done my due diligence in researching this game before playing it. I was expecting something a little bit more traditional based on the title of the game, and it is anything but. And the early game it's pretty buggy. I should mention it's in early access, so it is far from final. Wizard Rules was the password there.
Nice.
For instance, you can use the item button before you find an item, and whenever you do, it crashes the game. So if you're using a controller, don't press the B button until you find your first item, or you will crash the game. Like stuff like that. It's a little bit rough around the edges, and the early section of the game, like there's not a lot of explanation, and it does kind of feel like you encounter a lot of rocks and bushes, and it's just like, is this the whole game? It's not. It develops the extra rules of hacking and all that stuff a little bit on the slow side.
But this game looks potentially like you can get a couple snags based on the way that you can the hacking and the variable manipulation that you can do, and having it in early access seems like the right move for this.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And I think it'll give them time to flesh out. One of the things I'm most excited about for this game is it's got Steam Workshop functionality.
Oh.
I'm not sure to what extent, but I'm imagining that you can make your own sort of logic puzzles. Oh, you're the worst, Bob. You make your own logic puzzles using these, preset variable options and, behavior patterns and stuff like that. So I think that there's a lot of stuff that you could do with it. I'm not 100% sure what workshop functionality is going to be available.
So in the version that you're playing, though, you got access to the hat.
I did. Right? I did get that hat.
So I saw a little bit of that when I talked to Brandon Dillon, the designer of this game.
Listen to you, Mr. Hoity-Toity. Listen to you and all your friends.
Yeah, me and Brand. I just call him Brand.
Sure.
And he showed me that hat, and that looked like you get into some pretty deep code.
Yeah.
you're getting way down in there in the underbelly of this thing.
It changes it so it looks a little bit more matrixy, a little bit more matrixy. You can see like sprite sheets up here. It looks really, really weird. I don't get to that in this video because I wanted to leave, a little bit of mystery. Here, I've really made this turtle just go. But yeah, no, there's a lot of complicated stuff it throws at you. Let's skip ahead to this boss fight.
Okay.
So this is the first boss fight, and I think it's a pretty good way to end the video and sort of show an example of how all of these things start to come together. So there's one of those turtle spawning pits that I just used to solve a puzzle outside. He has this attack that turns your good turtles into bad turtles, like you've seen before. Unfortunately, he can also kill the turtles before you can do anything with them. Do a little bit of turtle fratricide, I guess. So you have to figure out a way to hurt him, because you can't just attack him because his USB port isn't showing. Real quick, I'm running low on health, so I make him die and drop all the hearts I need. So what you have to figure out is how to get this thing to spawn the turtles that you need, how to get him to change them without dealing damage to you or flooding the screen with too many turtles, because if you let that happen, then you're gonna be in some real trouble. And then figure out how to use those turtles to damage him. So it took me a couple tries my first time, but here I've have the benefit of experience. I realized you can just turn their damage all the way up and make them explode when they die. And then you make them good, which will make them attack, whoever. And then you have to turn their perception way up so that even when they're far away from the big boss turtle, they'll know to go after him and attack it. So with all of those sort of parameters changed and defined how you need them, your turtle will now attack and boom, one shot.
Oh, you one-shot him.
I one-shotted him.
Nice.
Now he's naked. I can see that USB port, and I can make him good. Lowers corruption. So yeah, my first time actually, I beat him. It took me a lot of turtles because I didn't realize that I could change the damage variable that they dished out. So I just kept throwing turtle after turtle, and it took a really long time. And then this playthrough, I felt like a real dummy because I realized you could just crank that up.
That's an interesting way for the game to kind of expose its quirks and behaviors. Is you having to experiment with that, and that sounds really interesting.
And I think unlike a lot of puzzle games, I should say, there seems like there's a lot of possibilities to solve these different puzzles in different ways. Like I could see, if I did another one of these videos, I could probably find my way through using different solutions, using different hacking methods, for example. So yeah, it's a really interesting idea. This is just a little chunk of it. I'm excited to play a little bit more and see what other ideas that it tosses into the mix.
Okay, so this is out on what? Is that on Steam?
It's out on Steam Early Access. I think it's at its early price of $19.99. So that's where it is for the time being. Okay, Mike, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a real pro hacker with me. I hope you were wearing those awesome ski goggles that all the hackers wear in the movies.
Oh yeah, I have a fairly elite set of goggles on.
Okay, that's again so important. Here, I'm just going to start the game over, which seems like a good place to stop playing the game because I don't want to do all that again.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.